Star League portraits added to the game. Now, right now, you might be sort of thinking, huh, what does that mean? WardiTV Star League portraits? You can have a Wardy portrait in StarCraft 2. I've gone in games, so I can't actually show you. In fact, maybe I can if I just very quickly bring it up on Twitter or something. Yeah, let's just do that quickly. This is just to show you guys super quick. But these portraits have just been added to the StarCraft 2 game. So you can actually get these, and you can actually use these as separate portraits. So you got Maynard top right, myself top left, Rifkin, and Zombie Grub. So a pack of 4, all 4 of them, is just $5. And that's really awesome. I am now a part of StarCraft 2. I am in the game forever. You can't get rid of me. So that's only $5. I will add a command, maybe during the first break if someone reminds me, which will give you a link to where you can buy them and stuff like that. And all of that sort of goodness. So do remind me about that, and I'll give you guys the link. And you too can support a Wardy portrait in game, or you know, a Rifkin one, or Zombie Grub, or Maynard, whoever you want. It's fantastic. Anyways, guys, to the bottom right hand side, our orange Zerg player from Titan 1X or Titan X1. I never know which way around the 1X or the X1 goes. I'm not gonna lie, I always get it mixed up. To the bottom right hand side, our orange Zerg player is Impact. And to the top left, our blue Zerg player, this is soO. So, a ZvZ best of 3 to start us off, and all the matches in the Kung Fu Cup are best of 3. And in case you like what you see here today, I'm just going to straight up say this already, we are going to be back tomorrow with some more Kung Fu Cup as well. Tomorrow from 1 PM CEST, so obviously through the days when it usually happens, we're going to be casting the Kung Fu Cup number 4, so it's another Kung Fu Cup tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys are very much so looking forward to it as well. It should be a lot of fun. It should be some good games. Should be some fun stuff. So just Kung Fu Cup tonight and tomorrow. Loads of great Korean-focused StarCraft, some Chinese players as well, as this event is held on the Korean server. And yeah, here we are on Blackwater for this first game of the ZvZ. Obviously, so far it's been a very Backwater-esque game. Both players are going straight into a third hatchery, even without gas. So they're both just looking to go in towards the macro stages right away here. Neither of them are like, okay, well, you know, let's get that gas, let's get a Bane Nest, you know, let's go for a bit of aggression. No, both of them realize how easy it is to take that third hatchery, and so both of them will do that nice and quick. And so far, for the first, well, 3 minutes or so, mirrored build orders here from the players. Slight differences starting to come through now. For example, you know, an extra queen started a bit earlier here or there. A couple of drones are slightly differently timed. And you see Impact will be the first to throw down extractors here on the natural. He'll take both of them. And soO will not be too far behind, taking 2 of his own extractors as well. So, 2 extractors apiece. And obviously that starts to give you the gas income, so you can invest in towards the Evo Chamber and the Rotron. Obviously they themselves don't need gas, but then to make use of them, you do need the gas. So that's what that gas is going to be for here over the next few minutes. And obviously the creep tunes moving forwards will allow for the wall off of Evo Chamber, Rotron. And that makes a wall here to stop Ling run-bys happening. And that, you know, that's one of the things that makes this map so great to do this sort of build on. Because you can just wall off like that, you don't really have to worry about anything. You already have the third hatch up, and that wall off will just keep you safe from any attack. And it is just one of the things where on other maps, if you try and do this, Ling speed will just wreck your third base. You won't have anything to defend it for so long. That can be very difficult. But obviously in this scenario, it's a little bit different. So definitely works out a bit differently here because of the way Backwater plays. As I do see there's single Zergling of Impact coming around the main base and going to be jumping down towards the natural. Couple of queens poking away at that Overlord, and it's just about going to live here in the end. You see that it is soO who's just a few seconds early on. Well, especially the lair is actually very quick. His Evo Chamber and Rotron comes down at the front. Meanwhile, Rotron and double Evo Chamber from Impact comes down on the front of the natural. And we do see those couple of queens of Impact just going to be pushing forwards and just trying to push this Overlord away. Naruto's drinking a drink. I don't know how to describe this, but he just said it was like a very hot, very alcohol. It's like an 80% in strength, and it's like super hot. Like I don't know why he's drinking it. I don't know why he's drinking it. I don't know if he lost a bet or something, if he's trying to make himself ill for some reason. But Naruto has had a bit of a drink. Naruto's casting this with me today, guys. he was a little bit short on StarCraft content for the week, I said, hey, well, I'm going to cast these replays on Wednesday, so, you know, we could make a bit of an event out of it together and cast them at the same time and see what happens, you know, and so here we are. Cast them at the same time. Would you look at that? A few roaches just coming out here, I mean, from either side. They're both at 66 drones, which is actually perfect. 3 base saturation, of course. 16 drones on each mineral patch. 6 workers on each base in terms of gases. And so, boom, all of a sudden, 66 drones is exactly where you want to cut at to start going in towards your next little setup here. Now, players are going to take a 4th base, and as they take a 4th base, more drones will come back into play. But until then, it is all about this roach production. Just roaches, roaches, and more roaches. And, well, we'll see if any move across the map anytime soon. But for now, it doesn't really seem to be the situation. I just want to go back, actually, sorry, because I missed a resub that came in right at the start of the stream. That was actually coming in really at the start of the intro, even. So I'll just take a moment or two to do a couple of sub shout-outs, because obviously, as you can kind of see, there isn't a lot going on in the game just yet. So I want to say thank you so very much to Defalicious for the 4-month resub. I appreciate the 4 months. And thank you for continuing to support Mythbuster for the 8 months. Thank you so much for the 8-month resubscription. And I hope you're having a fantastic day as well. And thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. All about the roach production, you mean like every single ZvZ says insert a name here? Well, yes, most ZvZs come down to roach production, but obviously it's a specific stage of the game where you really, you know, they're done droning, and now it's just time to produce roaches and see what you can get done. As we are going to be seeing the roaches coming around the south side, I'm going to be trying to push on in towards this 4th base. A couple of corrosive bars coming down to get to start. And well, we are going to see soO is actually going to try and jump on this, so he's going to take this fight. I mean, both players have Ravagers to use corrosive bars for. It looks like soO's going to sit in a couple of corrosive bars. Impact has a room to keep on kiting backwards. soO has reinforcements streaming in. Remember that Impact's reinforcements, though, will come in a lot faster than soO. And now soO's next wave of reinforcements is a little way away. And it looks as though Impact is going to be able to keep on pushing this back. He easily wins the fight to the top side. He actually didn't quite have enough down to the south, which is a little bit of a mistake from him. Obviously, as his units loop around, he will clean up all of this. The Ravagers will all fall. And this is going to be a cleanup by soO. There's a few, I think, roaches coming in towards the natural at the same time. I was watching that on the minimap, but it looks as though they went down without really any big issue. There wasn't any kind of big deal there in the end. I don't think any real damage was dealt. soO has a faster +2 here for the moment, especially because Impact, his +2 was contaminated, so he actually had that slowed down. Both players have the +1 carapace. There's definitely soO that has the upgrade lead to potentially take this even further once again, as we see a couple of Ravagers going to start morphing in, and soO coming down this south side is going to be coming in towards this 4th base in the next few moments. Well, these roaches spreading up, as corrosive ball coming down, the roaches split away, and a little bit of a back and forth here before the players decide to commit on forwards. And we do see the roaches and the Ravagers of Impact. Well, still just kind of sat here into defense. soO's obviously attacking with 4 +2 missiles, so he really feels as though he just straight up has enough to do this right now. Let's see if that really is the case. As I mean, he backs away here for the moment. Impact still has a little bit of a better concave for soO. Kind of has to push through this kind of, like, little kind of divide, I suppose, to really come through here. And that kind of puts him into 2 different choke points, whereas Impact can just sort of sit in the concave all the way through this. That's going to be seeing the roaches and Ravagers as soO's still trying to reposition here at the moment. Another couple of corrosive biles. Roaches dodge away, and that hatchery taking another couple of hits here once again. It is getting low this 4th base. And well, very soon we are going to see +2 missiles from soO as well, and that will be an upgrade lead for him in this fight. And that will be one of the kind of, you know, one of the kind of factors that tips the scales into his favor, perhaps. Oh my god, that hatchery is so low. It's just going to be 1 corrosive bile. Impact can't even do anything to save it anymore. Can he? I mean, there's no way that soO lets that live, right? All he has to do is push 1 Ravager forward and just tap it down. And as Impact actually backs away for a moment to get more reinforcements, soO, come on, there we go, does finally finish that off. Hatchery falls. And well, soO just going to be morphing in another few Ravagers and getting ready to go again as an Overlord from Impact coming overhead. Impact still gathering units up and getting ready to deflect here, as we are going to be seeing +2 missile attack from him is still on the way up. So soO has that upgrade lead now. Can he make advantage of it? Here comes a bit of a difference though. A while ago, Impact started up this Hydra Den, and he went into the Lurker Den. And obviously this has been so much about the roach fights for now, and yes, Impact hasn't been doing well, but now Lurkers are coming in, and if soO can't deal with those Lurkers, they could be a bit of an issue. But I think the issue is, even with these Lurkers right now, there isn't enough of them. 1 or 2, they can be corrosive barred down. They don't do that insane amount of splash damage just yet in this lower number, and as they do get corrosive barred, it looks as though the first one, it doesn't actually even go down before GG is called. soO will take the first game of the day, and he will go 1-0 this off. Alright guys, so Let's see what goes down as we continue on. To the bottom right-hand side, our orange Zerg player. This is Impact. Dropping game number 1 there. We'll see if he can fight back on Neon. Violet Square. As to the top left, our blue Zerg is soO. What's up, Meffin in the chat, saying good evening. Good evening to you. Welcome to the stream today. Frankenstein asking what's a good counter for Roach. Well, in ZvZ, you just build more roaches. I mean, in ZvZ, it's all about roaches and ravages and just sort of making, like, you know, enough and just continuing to trade again and again and again. So as a Zerg, it's kind of just, you know, that is the kind of the roach, like just roaches of your own. Eventually going into lurkers is obviously something you can do. But the big issue is that, you know, as a Zerg player, you know, if you try and make something other than roaches too soon, your opponent will just overrun you with roaches. So unless you have an advantage, it's difficult to build up into lurkers. Like we saw in that last game, soO just kept building roaches and ravages, and while Impact tried to tech, he just fell that little bit behind in a couple different ways because he tried to build a Hydra Den, a Lurker Den, and get those lurkers up. So, you know, while there is definitely counters to roaches later in the game, it's very difficult to get to those counters because you kind of just have to build roaches yourself initially in fear of, you know, because it's a mirror matchup, if you don't build enough, you will just sort of, well, die. It's kind of been the way ZvZ's worked for a very long time. It's a bit of an interesting one, to be honest. Anyways, we do see the Overlords crossing the map here to start things off, and this time it is once again going to be a fast-fed hatchery from Impact, but this time, from soO, of course, it's going to be that little bit different. He actually takes a very early Evolution Chamber here, so it looks as though he probably wants to go for, rather than Link Speed with this first 100 gas, he probably looks as though he's going to go for Carapace, and then Link Speed afterwards. So by going Carapace and then Link Speed, what you actually enable yourself to do is basically get a very kind of strong time, because the +1's Carapace and the Link Speed will finish up at the same time if you do it in that order. And so as those upgrades finish, if you have a swell of Zerglings, you will win a Ling versus Ling fight because you have an upgrade, and you know, it can be very kind of surprising to suddenly see them all. So we are going to be having the Carapace upgrade coming through there. Expect Link Speed in the next 50 gas or so. And on the other side of the map, Impact is just going to be, with his third hatchery finishing still currently gasless, and obviously he will be trying to play a similar style as to what he played in game number 1. Probably go up to Wood 66 sort of drones, although he'll be cut short this time around. It's a little bit weirder on Neon Violet Square because it's a little bit more difficult to actually defend because there's 2 openings, so it's not just sort of like an Evo Chamber, Roach or an Evo Chamber. You need, you know, an extra Queen or so in there, and you know, it can make it a little bit more difficult if the Lings do. It just gives the Lings more opportunities to sneak on by and to slip in and to get some damage done. So, meanwhile, though, we do see Carapace upgrade is about halfway done. The Ling Speed is currently on its way up as well. So, as we've been mentioning, those upgrades are going to finish at around the same time, and it is going to be generally a surge of Zerglings from soO, and he'll use those to defend his third hatchery just by being aggressive, right? So he is just going to be throwing the third hatch down. And we are just going to be seeing the couple of Evo Chambers coming in as well. Just watching for these Lings to start pouring out, because that is again going to be soO's way to kind of deal some damage here in these early stages. Let's see how successful he will be against, you know, an Impact who is already now walled off here at the front. Couple of Queens going forwards even from soO, going to get an Overlord kill. Not only does that bring Impact towards the supply block, but it just takes away vision, so he doesn't see these Zerglings for so long. Means he can actually soO start sending them across the map without Ling Speed, and they're already going to be, you know, a little bit of a surprise factor here, as we are going to be seeing one Overlord from Impact just sat out the front of this natural. The wall-off actually has worked out with just 2 Evos, a Rotor, and a Queen. It's actually kind of an interesting one, so we'll see if it does hold, as we do see the Lings coming across now. And obviously from Impact, he's just gone straight into the +1 missile attack, and he will go from there. The Queen is in position, so soO won't really get too much done. And again, he'll just be, well, having to transition himself right now. He does start up that +1 missile attack upgrade, so he gets that on the way. He is going to be ahead on the lair timing as well, so in general, looking okay here for soO. And as we do see those feelings, they did back away there. And a couple more Zerglings of Impact going to be coming in towards the upper left-hand side. These couple of Queens of soO will come on over, and they will get rid of one of those Lings, not quite. 2 of them actually sneak on by, one to the natural mineral line, one to the main. Just scouting information here, right? The more Impact can pick up on at the moment, the more info he can play with moving forwards from this point, as we see extra Roaches still coming on up. And again, Roach speed on the way from both sides, the +1 missile upgrade on the way from both sides. And you do see a 4th hatchery from Impact coming down also. It's going to be an Overseer morphing in from soO overhead. Impact will morph in his own. And well, again, just those few roaches and the Queen from Impact gathering together out the front of the 3rd base, or the natural. Obviously, this 3rd base is taken in the back here. So, just roaches starting to gather up, and we're going into that roach versus roach game once again. As we were just talking about at the start, you know, we'll see here maybe a good example of it once more, how you kind of just have to make roaches, because if you start throwing down a Hydra's Den right now, or something from either player, you're missing a good amount of roaches that when your opponent's time and attack hits, you would just be in trouble. It's very difficult to defend in those sort of scenarios. And it only takes you kind of winning the start of the fight for a few seconds, and suddenly the snowball starts to really, you know, gather up a little bit more momentum, and it gathers up a bit more snow, and suddenly it's just this kind of absolute monster of an attack which just pushes on through, because you just can't quite get the units out that you need. So, well, here we go. Impact will be the first to be aggressive coming across the map. And soO, well, just waiting for his own +1 missiles. His army supply is just about there. He's actually maybe down a few roaches on the map right now. We'll see if that has an impact here. As we do see the +2 missile attack upgrade from Impact himself is actually going to start up. You can see soO is kind of confident though, just pushing straight forwards, goes for a couple of tags, backs away before he runs through the choke point, which is obviously going to be a great choice. Because the choke point's only going to cost him a couple of units, trying to run into all of these units of Impact. Overseer keeping track of those roaches as well is really important here, obviously. So that's something to really keep in mind. As we do see +2 missile attack coming up on both sides of the map. And the Tunneling Claws starting up on the Roachron. More and more roaches just pouring down towards this 4th base. So more roaches coming out towards the 4th here. You're going to see another inject coming through, and we are going to be seeing that burrow upgrade from Impact. Still looking to see what's he can do with this. So burrowing and Tunneling Claws going to be that combination which allows these roaches to be a little bit more harass heavy throughout the game, coming through and just sort of, you know, suddenly hitting multiple mineral lines. We'll see how well soO's going to be able to deal with that here in the next few moments. As for now, soO's just going to come across the map. So this is actually an interesting sort of tech as well. You know, by investing into Tunneling Claws and burrow, you haven't got any value out of that yet. And so soO's been able to put more money into just pure roach production. So we'll see if that pays off for him. But with the 4th base on the low ground, it's very difficult to attack because you have to break through those rocks. And I think soO's just realizing it's hard for him to find that opportunity. I think it's going to be hard for Impact to find the chance to actually do much here with this Overseer just around. Where do you even send the roaches and then burrow them to kind of, you know, make this work out, as we are going to be having, well, roaches and ravages from soO, because they control the middle of the map, makes it very difficult for Impact to get in position. And now roaches on the high ground, they can come forwards, and that might be a +2 missile upgrade to now, but Impact has enough units back in position. Ooh, soO though, now he's actually going to allow this fight to be taken, and that's not a good fight for him. He will move forwards with the rest of his army, but Impact has now split up, and it feels like Impact has enough units in each location to hold this off. On the top side, this is definitely an Impact favored fight. You can see a couple of corrosive valves coming down. Impact eventually will win that one out. Down to the south here, soO does have a few more units. Queens are even being pulled down to try and help out. We're going to see the Overseer going to get taken down. That means maybe the Roach Burrow can come into play to even just save some units at this point. Continue to push forwards here. Impact continuing to just come on through, and soO is going to end up being pushed away. Again, he was losing this fight to the top side, and it's just the reinforcements from Impact that really made the difference here, and the fact that eventually he could bring the units from the top side battle around to the south side battle, and that really did kind of add up a little bit in his favor as well. Roaches and Ravages continuing over to the left-hand side. Going to see the burrow here actually increases the regeneration speed of those roaches as well. And so that means they get healed up nice and quickly, and soO actually has a lot of units still out of location. Loses a couple in the center here as well between armies. And now soO, well, he's already going to start taking this fight because Impact forces it. Here we go, now he can sandwich, but it was a few seconds late with the south side army. Let's see how Impact deals with it. To the top side, Impact's starting to kind of thin out a little bit, but he is kind of winning through in the bottom. He's going to get these Ravager kills, and now these armies are collapsing around each other. And it turns into, rather than a top versus bottom fight, a left versus right. soO continuing to pull on forwards with these few roaches, and Impact has to pull back just a little bit. Doesn't really have a chance to continue sitting around here. soO defends, and Impact will burrow a few roaches. This is something we haven't seen yet, right? The ability to actually harass with these burrowed roaches. So let's see how well he can do. Let's see if we can find something here. He actually splits them up in a bit of an interesting direction. I think he was just checking for the gold base. Anyways, they're going to move forwards here now. We do see an Overseer with this army, so he'll get some damage done. He'll even pick off a couple of them. And so he kills two remaining. Not the biggest of issues, but still will cause a slight distraction in the near future. Overseer gets taken down. Worth mentioning, this base he was taken as the third of soO, which is a bit better than this base because he has an extra mineral patch or two to work with. So that's always worth keeping in mind. He's got more minerals to work with because of this third base, and yeah, that definitely helps soO out. It means he doesn't have to expand as quickly because his third just doesn't mine out as fast as his opponent. So that's something to keep in mind as well. That could come into play here as we go past the 10-minute marker of the game. It really can be something that, you know, you can sort of see, well, why does Impact have to, why does Impact run out of minerals faster? Well, it could be because of that base. We're not there yet, but it's worth keeping in mind as we do see the Roaches and Ravages coming off over to the left-hand side. A lot of these units of soO just gathering up out the third base, and we are going to see Impact just realizing that he just has to turn away from this now. Can't really justify committing on through there and committing into that fight. Nubatized Carapace about halfway done. Hydralisk Den starting up on this natural expansion as well, and these Overlords are just spreading out in towards the center of the map. So Overlord's spreading out, Impact just taking some map control here and really just allowing himself to see everything that's going on in this game. And there is that switch once again into the Hydralisk Den, which he then cancels and builds a Spire instead. I mean, that's kind of funky because the Spire here, there isn't any sort of inclination from soO to go in towards Hydralisks of his own or any sort of anti-air. If Impact can take a fight and trade out and then remax on Mutalisks, that would be really, really awesome. As we're going to see a few Corrosive Bars coming down. Impact is going to have to back away a little bit, keep on kiting at the moment. Another couple of Corrosive Bars dropping in here, and well, now turning Impact doing a little bit more damage once again. And these Roaches starting to take some hits right now as, well, soO's just going to go for it. The Spire's not ready yet, so it will just be remaxing on Roaches here from Impact. As soO keeps on trying to push on in. For the moment, this looks good for soO, but a lot of Roaches not joining the fight for a little while. And as time ticks by, reinforcements will pop out, and they will be here immediately for Impact, whereas soO obviously has to wait quite some time for his own reinforcements to come across the map. Meanwhile, there is actually Roaches getting rid of a lot of the soO's economy on that third base, so that is damage taken. And as Impact holds it home, he comes out of this not with just the army supply lead, but he also has the worker count in his favor as well. 61 to 40, and soO is looking amazing right now as we are going to see these Roaches and Ravages coming across the map. A few more Roaches coming up in towards the top side. And again, remember, Impact has the Spire now up and ready to use. So if he wants to go into Mutalisks here, he definitely can. And there he does start some of them up. There's just no answer to this on the field right now. Impact survived long enough, and now he's going to get these meters out. He's even going to get this fourth base as well. He already killed the third hatchery, actually. Beyond killing the workers, he got the kill there. soO just has no way to deal with the meters, and I feel as though it might just be one of those games where as soon as he sees the Mutalisks, he might just be leaving, because honestly, there's just no answer, right? He only has 2 queens, soO, so he doesn't even have queens he can kind of fall back on and buy time with. No Spore Crawlers in place. Why would there be? Here we go, first meter showing up. soO will kind of fight this for a moment or two, because he definitely doesn't know how many meters there are. He doesn't know how good the bank of Impact is, because these Roaches as soO continue to push on forwards. They are just going to try and just do what they can, right? He needs to deal damage now. No point turning home, because he's just going to lose Roaches as he goes home. So he definitely just has to keep on pushing forwards for the moment, and well, that's what he's going to go for. Mutalisks here continuing to try and going in to clean this up. And in the end, soO will just type out GG, because Impact is just, well, he's got the meters right. He will move on through to the next round of competition. To the bottom right-hand side, our orange Zerg player. This is Impact. And he's going to be opening with a very fast 13-12. It's an aggressive setup here from Impact to start things off. And as to the upper left-hand side, I mean, we are on Abiogenesis, so aggressive openings can definitely be expected here. So, to the upper left-hand side, we have our blue Zerg player soO, who will open pool first, which is obviously a good step in the right direction in terms of being able to deal with this here. So, a decent step in the right direction, I would say. As we're going to be seeing the pool, then a gas even. So really, from soO, this is starting to look like a very defensive setup, I suppose, in the face of aggression. Obviously, he doesn't know it's aggression yet, but he'll be very happy he chose this build in the near future when he does realize the 13-12 build order from his opponent. So Overlords crossing each other by here in the center of the map for the moment, as we do see the first Zerglings from Impact. Now he goes beyond the 100 gas, keeps all of his workers in there. And by keeping all workers in the gas, it means that he will be throwing down a Bane Nest in the next few moments as well to continue this aggression. So uses one of the drones from the extractor, because you only need 2 drones of gas mining generally to keep up with your Baneling production in this sort of a scenario. as we do have those initial Zerglings coming in towards the upper left-hand side to try and see just what they can do. So a few Lings coming in towards the upper left, and obviously that hatchery on the low ground is going to be in some trouble. At this point, obviously, soO already knows about it, and he knows it's a continued attack as well, because he sees the lack of a hatch. So he knows what's going on. His first Lings are here, but I wouldn't say this is a good initial trade from soO. I mean, some of the Lings do go low, but this was 5 against 2 in terms of work, in terms of Lings skill, which is very ineffective for soO. And so it means he kind of lost his first wave of unity, and obviously it only gets more difficult. Impact even gets a heal on some of his units because of the Banelings being able to morph in. So by being able to morph the Banelings in, it means that those Zerglings, well, yeah, I mean, what do you do as soO, right? I mean, the Bane's coming in, now you're going to be in a bit more trouble. Ling speed kicks in right now, and let's see how this goes. The first Bane's coming forwards will go off. Oh, actually hits the Queen and some Zerglings. Second Baneling doesn't do anything, but the Queen will fall down. This Spinecrawler going to get taken down as well before it gets a chance to finish, and it doesn't even get cancelled. And it looks as though soO is in a little bit of trouble right now. He still holds a worker lead, so if he can get a few more units out, then maybe there's a way. With more Banes coming in, currently nothing on the map at all, well, this drone defense has to be somewhat pristine. What's going to be seen? Well, he cancels one of the Banelings, another Baneling comes in, he will drag himself a single Zergling onto it, but then more Lings popped out and they went the wrong way. Lings go down. Well, soO does defend, in fairness, but those 3 extra Lings going down just there, that really was a little bit of a pain. As we do have a few Lings just sitting up, or setting up against each other. Baneling coming through here from Impact is going to get taken down. And the Lings just going to continue chasing each other in the next couple of moments. 2 more Banelings of Impact coming in on the upper left-hand side, and we do see, well, soO jumps on one of those Banes, gets a cancel. soO doing his best to try and stop these Banelings from coming up. He gets another cancel here, but the one that is about to finish, well, it does get to finish, and he will get very low, which means it should be able to be dealt with here without much further issue. The problem is that soO has lost a lot of his Zerglings trying to stop those Banelings from getting up, and will have to losing those Zerglings. Obviously, it becomes a bit more of a problem now. Continuing onwards, as we do see this hatchery. Well, that's going to fall here eventually. It took a little while to get it down, but in the end it will fall. And again, another Bane for a couple of Lings. It's not a bad trade, obviously, from soO. It's just, it feels like he needs a little bit more right now. He does have a Spine and a Queen on the high ground, so he may try and defend this here still. Still some back and forth going down. His own Baneling nest now finally on the way up. It took a little while for him to be able to afford this, but now that he's got it, well, that can definitely go, go a long way and help out here. A few Lings gathering together. Again, there's a couple of Banes from Impact just finishing up. Another Baneling starts to morph in. More Lings and Banes coming up the ramp, and we are going to be seeing the Queen. Just trying to fight this right now. As the Lings get around, the Queen will fall, and we are going to be seeing, well, there's just too many units here, right? I mean, the Lings take down the Spine, and now there's absolutely nothing. A couple more Lings popping out. Some Lings come back across from the bottom side. But, I mean, drones are already falling. The Baneling is still here to control the area. And this is just about going to be it. There's nothing more to be done. As we're going to be seeing those Lings going down. The drones will drop as well. GG from soO. Impact takes game 3. He will advance on through to the next